authentic visibility. But it is a very biological imperative for human beings to seek visibility. And that is a problem for black people in this fucking community, in this society, is that we cannot achieve authentic visibility. Meaning that we either have to take on the psychological or physiological characteristics of our oppressors in order to achieve visibility. 12-year-old black girl graduates from college at 12 years old. She acquires visibility. You know why she acquires visibility? Because she lived up to the psychological and physiological characteristics of white folks, of Europeans. So you can be a savant and not adhere to the psychological and physiological characteristics of Europeans and attain no visibility, because that's the visible. You still be invisible. Now, in this invisibility, I thank nature. I thank the Nettinger for that invisibility that I have in relationship to that, because I have to derive my self-esteem now from the social structure. People can't tell me how intelligent I am. You know what I'm saying? Or I don't need people to tell me how intelligent I am. I know by observable phenomenon in nature how intelligent I am. So it's a more objective reality or objective information. So therefore, I can derive a more authentic self-esteem from it. So again, you know what I'm saying? You don't have the system telling you what it is how you are supposed to perceive yourself or validating you. And that's where black people have to get to the point that this system can no longer validate us. We can no longer find our value within a system designed to devalue us. Because it's only going to value us as much as we adhere to a standard which is detrimental to us as a people. You can't. It's again unauthentic. It's a physiological and psychological standard of characteristics that your physiology and psychology, the way in which you interpret information from the environment, doesn't. You can't achieve it. So it can never be authentic. You can only achieve authentic visibility or validation from the fact that you are an African American who has African American physiology and characteristics, physiological and psychological characteristics of an African American. That's the only way you're going to find authentic esteem. Because that's why, saying self-awareness or knowledge of self is so important. And that's why you can tell the difference between black people who have some level of knowledge of self versus those who don't. I have one of the people that are on my timelines who talks about the Hebrew Israelite and the black atheist as being one of the missed viewpoints of black people. What? Wait a minute. Okay. First, you got to realize that that's a pseudo epistemology that you're basing it upon. That somehow that black people are supposed to worship the same God as their oppressors. The idea of atheism in its conception, as its academic conception, is to deny the existence of your oppressor's God or the state-sponsored God if that God in somehow is contradictory to your self-preservation. The God of the Europeans is contradictory to the self-preservation of Africans. Period. Even in relationship to the fact that we develop that philosophy, it is still one Hellenized. And then even before it was Hellenized, it was bastardized and misconceived, where you get Yahweh taking the place of Baal. Now, you can look at this in the early fucking Jewish, where their God was first referred to as El. El preceded Yahweh. That's why they call their God Eloi, or El Shaddai. Ba, before El or Al, is blessed Al, the blessed strength. We have transferred the God of our ancestors for the God of their ancestors, Yahweh. Now look at the early Egyptians. Look at the early. I mean, the early Sumerians and the early fucking so-called Israelites, so-called Jews. They worshipped El before Yahweh. Yahweh replaced El, but still they utilized the name El in various various variations. El, Eloi, Elohim. All of these are variations of El without the Ba. The Ba is the blessing. That's where you get Ba from in the Kemetic language, which is just all they did was add a vowel system to it, which made it the Semitic language. That's it. That's what happened to cuneiform. To cuneiform. Cuneiform? Cuneiform? Cuneiform. Cuneiform. Cuneiform is that they added the vowel system that came from the Dravidian Sanskrit to the cuneiform. And the cuneiform developed a vowel system. And therefore, they also transferred when the Armenians and the Tigrinians were chased out by the fucking Hyksos or Hakus, whatever the fuck their names are, into Egypt and took refuge in Egypt in Amarna. They brought that same vowel system with them, and they added it to the measured letter system and created the Coptic system. That's simple. It's not easy. We make a shit complex and it ain't that complex. I mean, the actual data and the information, of the actual data in the available information spells this out easily. You know what I'm saying? That these three cultures, these three predominant cultures, the Dravidian culture, the Chaldean culture, and the Egyptian culture, and then the cultures that they all proceeded from, which is the Upper Nile Valley cultures, or the Kilimanjaro cultures that developed at the base of Kilimanjaro, the people of the moon. Their culture spread all the way up into motherfucking, the Black Indus Valley. And it changed as a result of information in that particular environment and the people's, accents and so forth and so on, and then found a role all the way back. That's why there's such a connection between those three specific cultural expressions, or four cultural expressions, that can still be seen today through the lenses of motherfucking modern man. So, so all these things I'm talking about, when you talk about atheism, and you talk about black atheism, everybody else could be an atheist except for black folks. That we are supposed to accept the fucking goddamn state-sanctioned God of Europeans. Just paint them black. That somehow that makes it right. And somehow the fucking Negroes at the period of time that accepted this Hellenistic version of their pre-existing religion were somehow right. They weren't right. They were trying to gain political power. This idea that black people through antiquity have always been like these angels, and white people through antiquity have been the demons. And that black people have only made mistakes as a result of their interactions with white people. No, nigga. Stop. Black people have their own ethnic issues as well. It's in the literature. You know what I'm saying? Ab-nab skin versus smooth skin versus fucking, coarse skin. Coarse hair versus stringier hair, or looser hair, or tighter knots versus looser knots. All of these things existed because this diversity, this need, this imperative, this biological imperative to maintain diversity has existed in man since its very conception. Since, the first man popped out of the womb of, of the earlier hominids. And even prior to that. I reposted a lot of things about biology revised or revisioned, which I had posted earlier. In relationship to the questions that the Western scientific biological model has not yet to answer. And that some of these questions can be answered. I put the mutation thing up, because, like a lot of things that the Chinese found out, or third parties found out, and I'm not saying that guy that I put up, even though he is Chinese, or Asian, that wasn't necessarily a part of that experience, but the part of that project in China, in order to prove that they had developed or evolved entirely separate from the African Homo sapien and find out, oh wow, shit, we didn't. So there are certain realities that black people seem to want to dismiss in the place of some religious pseudo epistemology. Science is the only means in order to attain an authentic epistemology. And as long as we are basing ourselves on this pseudo epistemology of this book, you know what I'm saying? And look, black Christians, I'm not trying to get you to change your mind about Jesus or whatever the fuck you doing. I'm encouraging black folks who have decided that this is no longer for them, that they are on the right path. If you are black folk who think that, you know what I'm saying, Jesus is going to come out the sky and save you, that white Jesus or black Jesus or Hebrew Israelite Jesus is going to jump out of the sky and save you, then that's you continue to think that. Keep that same energy, fam. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to change you. I'm trying to encourage the black folks who believe that they're on the right path, that you're on the right path, and giving you the information that shows you that you're on the right path. You can only lead a motherfucking horse's ass to water. You cannot make it think. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Niggas who are thinking, I'm with you. Those who aren't, then fuck it. You know what I'm saying? You ain't thinking. And that's an evolutionary fucking imperative. Those who can't adapt are meant to fucking die off. Those who can adapt are meant to live on. Nature, see this nature God thing? Dude, it's not like your God kind of concept. This idea that the you know what I'm saying, you reap what you sow and so forth and so on, and that this is going to be some guy that's going to... No. Human beings are the only ones who create their own fucking reality. We create our reality. It's not some third party. We're creating our reality. Now, nature is a entity in which that process operates through. Like all other living, you know what I'm saying, systems within this spectrum. The realm of relativity. All of them operate in relationship to information provided to them by the environment and act upon that information to their self-preservation, fitness to survive, and adaptation. Human beings are the ones that are, you know, disconnected from their actual natural purpose. So therefore they need this reconnection to their natural, you know what I'm saying? Where we have this ego. That's why, another reason why I don't like the Freudian fucking gestalt. It puts the ego in front of the id and diminishes the purpose of the id. The id has a purpose. The ego is not meant to repress or suppress the id. It's meant to domesticate the id. And that's why we walk around with these undomesticated ids that we're incapable of processing unconscious information to fully be aware of who the fuck we are, down to the id. Now, we can domesticate animals, all kinds of other animals, except for the animal that we are. You know what I'm saying? Nature has given us means to do so. If we don't use them, she don't give a fuck. If we die off, she don't give a fuck. That was our choice. We chose to give it, you know what I'm saying? And again, I say this to black folks again and again. African American dude, if you die off, nature don't give a fuck. Because you didn't have what it took in order to preserve self. You weren't fit to survive because you couldn't adapt. That's how this real God works. That's nature. She is impersonal. She is amoral and she is metaphysical. She ain't personal. Your person does not come into account in relationship to how she treats your deed. And this idea that white folks are morally bankrupt, yeah, they morally bankrupt because they only think about morale in relationship to regulating you or regulating the structure. Ethics and morale are entirely two different things. Ethics lead towards self-preservation. Moral it leads to motherfucking self-destruction. You know, and yeah, words as they define certain things in relationship to how we cognitively associate to those specific words, our actions, determine our actions in relationship to those words and the values that we associate to them. Therefore, they're the motivations. So, and that's unconscious and conscious. A lot of what I'm saying, I mean, niggas just don't get it. You know what I'm saying? And I understand, I get it. But I gotta keep on talking until, you know what I'm saying, shit. Either I'm gone or y'all niggas